hear myself through my headphones. Yes, man. Like, I feel real good about this right now.
Pay attention, because you are now listening to Permission to Speak Freely.
What's going on, world? Hey, this your boy, man. You already know what it is, Damon, man.
Yeah, Damo.
And that's your boy, Damo. You already know what it is. Damo with the fire hat on this morning. You guys checking him out, man?
Yeah.
That damn hat is fire. I got to get me one.
Yeah, PTSF merch.
Jill, what's going on, man? How you been?
I'm good. I'm chilling. I'm not much, man. I did, like, we had a congressman come to the command, Tony Gonzalez. I'll talk about that a little bit later. I've just been chilling. But I need to start off with clearing the air about something, a little bit of honesty. There's no better way to start off than with a little bit of honesty. So if you don't know, I edit the podcast, right? So I edit the podcast audio and video, right? So since I edit the podcast, that means that I have like power over what goes out of the podcast, right? So, when you do all this talking, every now and then you're going to say something stupid, right? So if Damon or T say something stupid, I normally don't edit it out. You know what I'm saying? I let it go out like that.
Most definitely. You guys know that already, right?
But if I say something dumb, and we say a lot of dumb stuff sometimes, like the wrong dates that stuff started, like historical stuff, because sometimes it's like multiple sources that people get stuff from, and I don't know what internet or chat GPT they would use, because most of his sources be like 2 years off or whatever like that, right? So we say the wrong things. But me, I got the power to be like, damn, that was dumb as hell what I said. Let me take that out. Damn, that was dumb as hell what David said. Let me keep that in, right? So that's normally what I do. But we did an episode, like a bonus episode recently, piggybacking the piggyback, which is a good episode. Y'all should go check it out. Yeah. But in the very beginning, bro, like the first 20 seconds, right? I start breaking down the SAPR acronym for civilians. And I said it was sexual assault prevention and readiness, right? I don't know if I was more upset at the fact that I said readiness. Because when I said it, I was like, man, that's cool. Ain't nobody gonna catch it. When I repeated it, slowed it down, I said it again, right? Now, I'm still, I don't know if I was more upset about the fact that I said it or the fact that you was right here talking to me and you ain't correct me, man. So somehow I had to find a way to put it back on you, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I was a little tight about that, right? I'm like, damn, I said readiness and Damon ain't say, nah, bro, it's response. You know what I mean? But
nah, I ain't say nothing,
yeah, you
bro.
just let me go, man. You just, I don't know if you was listening to me or not, man.
I don't know. I don't know why I was pulling the you on me, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Normally I try to correct it, but I was pulling the you, man.
Yeah, you just let me go. So, but for the civilians, it's sexual assault prevention and response, right? That's what SAPR is.
Yes.
I don't know if it was word vomit. We get out, we say a whole lot of stuff on here. So I definitely wanted to make sure I said that right. And I know it. It's not like somebody like hit me up like, yo, you said this wrong. You need to go look this up. It's something that I know and I've known forever. Like, it's like, and that's why I was tight. Like, you ever like hope somebody don't listen to an episode? I was like hoping nobody listen. Like, I hope nobody listen to this episode. Like, I don't want nobody to hear it. Yeah, I don't want nobody. It's like the first like minute of the episode, man, going crazy, man. I'm good though. I'm good. What up with you, man?
Yeah, man. I had a pretty good week, man. I'm talking about nothing crazy happened. I didn't go on a ship. Man, it was a good week, man. I had a little bit of relaxed time. I mean, it wasn't bad, man. I'm pretty good, man. Yeah. Did my physical therapy. Ain't no one rushing me back to the command after my physical therapy. I was just taking my time. I ain't have to worry about, hey, man, can we cut this one a little short? I got to get back for a meeting or something. Yeah. None of that. So it was a good week, man. Good week, man. Getting ready to, next week, man, I'm going on an inspection, in Japan. So getting ready for that, got to do better coming up on that. You know how to, shit don't never go as planned, So it's a lot of craziness going on with that, trying to get that done, and how some of the rules in Japan still applying right now.
What you talk about, like COVID or Liberty?
No, well, from a traveling standpoint, not everything. The COVID stuff is starting to lift. I mean, we still got to do some stuff, going to Japan with the COVID stuff. But it's not as much as it used to be. So I'm not necessarily mad about that. I'm just mad about, I ain't gonna say mad, but a little tight about some traveling requirements they have.
Own it, man. You bad. You bad. Own it, man. Own it. Tight. Hey.
I'm gonna get into it in a few minutes on this Do Better though.
Yeah, man.
Get into it, man.
The quotas came out, huh?
Yeah, man. Quotas came out. I tell you, man, I want to say this: the numbers are high across the board, though. You know, from what we used to. But I talked to a couple of Master Chiefs, man. They was telling me like you got to look at it, and I don't know if it was from the E9 standpoint or both, but they was telling me like you got to look at this as a 2-year stance or something. Like, kind of threw me off a little bit. Somebody gonna have to come on here and explain what they mean by, like, I'm looking at it. You said quotas, right? Quotas for FY24.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't say FY24 and 25. You know what I mean? So that means, looking at a 2-year period, that means they're gonna probably be giving quotas back. You know what I mean? For that year, I'm assuming that's what that means. I don't know. So somebody can help me out with that. But on a quota standpoint, man, hey, it's a lot out there, man. So good luck, to everybody, man, that's up. It's a life-changing event for you and your family, man. So yeah, man, good luck to everybody.
Not everybody gonna want to go. I think that's what probably some of what they mean. Like, somebody might be in like Japan, like some senior chief with mad years might be in Japan and not want to leave because you gotta go into like the billet. You gotta go into the non-billet. So some people gonna turn them billets down. I mean, then I know it's other tiers, like other people that's gonna take the billet. But EM wasn't wide open like that. It ain't too many.
It went wide open like that?
It's like 2 EMCMs, man. It's about 2, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, about 2 EMs made Master Chief. Now, one thing that I did see as I was going through looking at the internet, I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I saw, it looked like 2 EMs made Master Chief. But one thing when I was looking through the internet, one thing I saw was an interesting article, man. I'll probably read this whole article just because how interesting it was. But it says, help wanted. Guardsman applies to be a hitman, gets arrested instead, right? So then it's a picture. Whoever posted the picture is like a Getty image of like Dick Tracy, right? But it says, a wannabe assassin looking to use his skills to earn some extra cash is now instead targeting a way to keep out of prison over a bogus murder for hire job application. Authorities recently arrested Tennessee Air National Guard service member after he reportedly sought work as a hitman on a fake website known to lure would-be criminals. FBI agents earlier this month arrested Josiah Ernesto Garcia, 21, who allegedly attempted to become a hired killer with a parody website, rentahitman.com, according to a criminal complaint filed in the Tennessee District Court. Rentahitman.com, man. You gotta know. Like,
that's just funny as shit to me, bro.
Like, you have to know.
Too funny
man.
For me, man.
It says, authorities charged him Thursday for the use of interstate commerce facilities in the commission of murder for hire, the court release added. Garcia reportedly first inquired about employment with the site on February 16th, indicating he possessed military experience and rifle experience. And a special set of skills.
He ready to get it in.
A few days later, the complaint alleges Garcia, nicknamed Reaper, submitted a resume noting his employment in the state's Air National Guard from July 2021 to present. It remains unclear whether he submitted a cover letter or 3 professional references, as is custom with non-hitman job applications. Captain Kelly Moriarty, a spokesperson for the Tennessee Military Department, confirmed to Military Times that Garcia enlisted in the Tennessee Air National Guard in July 2021. What else is it? Rather than focus on his job search on an accredited platform, Garcia sent multiple follow-up emails to the site. So they ain't even getting back at you. And you hitting them up, right? So it says the FBI eventually intervened, instructing the website owner to set up a phone interview with the aspiring hitman. I've been looking into it for some time now. I was looking for a way to make good money, Garcia reportedly told the FBI, saying in another email to the website owner that he wanted a good paying job to support a child he had on the way. This stuff is crazy, man. In the interview, Garcia also reportedly said he would be comfortable with taking fingers and ears as trophies or performing at a client's request. After seemingly passing his phone interview, Garcia met with the undercover FBI agent April 6th in Nashville, Tennessee. The agent told him he did not have to go through with the scheme and he could walk away at any time, but Garcia reportedly assured the agent he was in. A few days later, FBI agents messaged Garcia saying a job was available. Another meeting was then arranged at a public park outside Nashville. During the rendezvous, the agent gave Garcia a target package consisting of photographs and a description of a fictional target's name, weight, age, height, address, and employment information. The agent told him the client would pay $5,000 for the target to be killed. Garcia allegedly asked if he needed to take a photo of the dead person's body as proof the job was complete. The FBI then arrested him. The Guardsman reportedly told investigators he met with the agent because he had second thoughts on the assassin role after learning he had been hired for another medical job. If convicted, Garcia faces up to 10 years in prison, according to the court release.
Bro, that's crazy, bro. Let me tell you, man. I got a couple things, man. First, I hope the application says, have you did any jobs before? You know what I mean? Like sometimes you need to be like, done a couple jobs before we hire you. Right? I hope they answer that damn question, man. Have you done a couple of these jobs yet? One, he says, he's trying to, it's for his kid.
Yeah.
Right. He got a kid, man. So it's like a take a life for a life type deal, man. Take a life for a life. Whatever that's supposed to be. And then how many chances they gave this dude, man? Like they kept asking him, giving him chances. He was
vying for it. He was vying for it.
Yeah, man. He need to take some ears. Let me know. I need to take some ears, man.
That's trophies.
But on a real note, though, I was thinking earlier, like how many, like he never actually committed a crime. So I'm thinking like 10 years. No, this dude needs some help. He need to be in a facility. If you thinking about stuff like this, man, like if this going through your mind to go out there and take somebody's life, you need some help. Like some real help. I know it's like, okay, he going to prison. No, wherever he going, he need to be going somewhere that he can get some help.
Yeah,
that's the real side about it. Like he needs some help.
I'm thinking about insider threat. I was thinking about like insider threat, stuff like that. I was just doing a training on that, and I'm like, yo, he would be like, because he sound like he desperate for some money. I'm like, yo, this dude would be the perfect dude that would get targeted by one of our foes, one of our adversaries, to like be an insider threat and do something against the country. He'd be like the perfect guy, man.
He most definitely.
If you're trying to be a damn hitman.
Yeah. I'm surprised they hit him up already.
Yeah,
he probably got hit up already. Like, yeah, I saw you put this on the internet. What's up? Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? Yeah, man, he'll be saying yes to everything.
Yeah, desperation. He probably would have gave that African prince money. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you remember that, but back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
You get an email from the African prince, man. He probably gave that man some money, man. I don't have a do better for this week, man. I ain't got a do better for this week. Everything is great.
Yeah, man, I got one, man. And mine is it's not gonna be too long, man, but it was a little frustrating, man, when it comes to like going in DTS for Japan because so just a little background on this, like we get our own hotels and stuff from over there. We don't go through DTS for it. So anything you do over there, you got to do it by yourself when it comes to the lodging, right? But for the tickets and stuff, man, so we found out, like after putting this in 2 or 3 times, that you have to get a ticket issued to you before the airline, like the airline, if you don't have approved, if the DTS is not approved, within 24 hours, they'll cancel your tickets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you won't get ticketed. So what you have to do is go in DTS, call who's approved it, which you got, 3 or 4 reviews, people on there probably, and then you got an approver, right? All these people looking at your account. Bro, I'm in CNSP. These people ain't right next door to me. They ain't sitting on side of me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To approve all this stuff. So we found that out. So it had to go all the way up and get approved the same day. Then I got to call DTS, which you know how long that stay on phone, like 2-3 hours probably, and tell them, hey, I need emergency ticketing. You know what I mean? Because if not, I don't get the emergency ticketing, Japan Airlines is going to cancel the ticket, right? Within 24 hours. So that was a process. The process with that is that who knows that? Even the DTS people don't like know that yet.
Yeah.
It's just the people that Sato knows it. You know what I mean? But it ain't trickle down to us to say, hey, you got to make these phone calls. You got to do that. Because we found this out from Sato after calling them saying, why my shit keep getting canceled?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then on top of this Japan trip kicking my butt this week, then we all found out that like the trip kind of changed a little bit. So we had to change the date. And now these people hitting us up, yeah, you guys are going to have to pay for this first date, the first day out your pocket in Japan. I'm not paying for nothing out of my pocket.
Yeah.
That's not happening. How about I won't go? How about that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not paying for that in my pocket. And that's from our coordinators and all these people who do audits and all this stuff that you can't just change this and then use it. I understand where it has to be like in there, but we need to figure this out. It ain't you, but we leaving like next week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like hard to try to find this and find that. So that's just kind of the frustration about, you know, going to Japan right now, but not necessarily the lodging portion of it, just the ticket and the 24-hour thing. That was kind of new. I've been frustrated by that, but I just need this whole people to talk. Like, and then Sato hit you up and they say, hey, we don't do DTS. Our system talks to DTS, but we don't deal with DTS. So now DTS is our system. Then Sato got their own system. You know what I mean? So now we got two different systems. So it just need to get on the same page, man. We doing all these travels. We go through Sato while we ain't got the same system. So my do better is, man, we need to get on the same page and be on the same system. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's y'all.
Yeah, man, that's my do better, man.
Yeah. Y'all book your own flights?
Yeah.
Individually, like all of y'all?
You know? This is my first command doing that, man. We do it all ourselves. And when I was at ATG, we didn't do it. We had one guy booking all our flights when we fly somewhere and do all this.
Yeah.
And he come just hand us a package with all our info in it, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, this we do it all, bro.
Yeah, it seemed like it'd be a lot better if like somebody booked the flights.
One person did it? Yeah. Now, one person finds all the information. Yes. But when it comes to like, he just found the information, say, okay, you guys will take these flights, blah, blah, blah. And then we go in DTS and book those flights and the hotels and all that stuff. But you're right though, man. Like it's the individual and most of the time. The only thing we got is when we got a coordinator from our command. The only thing he do is just pretty much send out the best flights. That's it.
So I got a question for you. Well, not really a question. Like I said, we were talking to a congressman and I got a rumor coming out of that conversation. And the rumor that I got coming out of that conversation is it could be conversations happening right now about increasing family separation allowance from $250 to $400. What's your thoughts on that, man?
I think it's great. Shit, anytime you want to give somebody more money or whatever, I never have an issue with giving more money to sailors, right? And you said this is a dislocation, right?
Family set.
You said it's family set, right? Yeah, man. I most definitely think it's a good idea.
A lot of the conversation was that family set ain't been changed in like 20 years.
I mean, it's facts. Ever since I've been in, it's been the same thing. Same thing. They for more than 20 years. Shit. The time I came in, I went on deployment. I remember it being 250. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a long time, man. So and you know what? Why we bullshit, man? That's probably a lot of shit that's in the Navy, man. Like we don't never. I ain't gonna say we don't review, but we don't have nobody in the room when they reviewing it. They just looking at it like, okay, we're gonna keep this the same. So I like the fact that they going back and they taking a closer look at some of these programs and some of these things that we have and say, you know what, we should be doing this a little bit better, or we should be, giving more money to this, or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? So I like the fact that they are looking at these programs. They've been the same for so long.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the value of having the right people in the right spots, like having ex-military, veterans in Congress, ex-military members in those rooms where we cut them funding for like certain programs and stuff like that. It's a lot of value in that. My Navy question that I have is,
definitely.
do people take spot checks seriously around the board? Are people just penciling them in?
Ooh.
I was talking to somebody about spot checks this week, and it just made me think about that. I remember one time, I don't know if I talked about it on this podcast or not, but I remember one time that one of my guys had to do a spot check. And it was an officer who came to do it. And I remember I stepped out, man. I forgot why I stepped out. But I was like, yo, I'm going to step out and I'm going to grab. It was something I needed to get or something for something that was coming up. So I went from my shop on the DDG. I went from an electrical shop to a tool issue. When the person walked in or something like that, it was either after the card was verified or during it, something like that. But as soon as the person walked in, some emergent situation got me out of there because I like being in there when they're doing a spot check. So I ran out. I was like, yo, I'm going to run out and come right back. So I go from the shop to tool issue and right back. I grab whatever it is I needed. When I got back, the person was gone. The person that was doing the spot check was gone. But my seller was still there.
Oh, no.
Which meant, and I'm like, yo, did y'all go to the equipment? He's like, nah, they ain't really want to see the equipment. They just wanted to see me verify the card. And they said, I could quickly talk through it. They said it was good. So, my question for you is, have you ever saw a scenario like this, or like what's going on? Like, are we not really taking spot check serious? Is that beneficial? Like, what's the deal? Like, that's just my whole question.
Yeah. So I'll be honest with you, man. I'm going to be real honest right now. Like, for one is, though, with the spot check thing is, though, I take spot checks seriously because I feel like that's a training time for me. You know what I mean? I always, and it shouldn't be a training time, but I feel like that's my time to talk to some sailors and making sure, blah, blah, blah. They going through the car, they doing their things the right way. But I have had some put against a timeline and may have not went through everything that I should go through. And probably I should have said, you know what, let's hold off and I'll come back or whatever. We'll start back right here. But I have let them slide a little bit on some spot check. But most of the time, man, I'm like, I time it out. I give myself this length of time, and I look at it as a training thing for the sailor. And also I like doing spot check, man, because it reminds me of things that's going on too. Because some shit I be forgetting. You know what I mean? When we be going through stuff. But I'm like you though. Like, I have came in and seen spot checks done, and it's been like a few freaking minutes. Like, man, that spot check I always done. Yeah, senior, I killed you.
Yeah.
Like, kill shit. Motherfuckers ain't even looked at shit. You know what I mean? And but do I fault myself a little bit? Like, I have had junior officers come in there, and I had chiefs come in there and been real quick. And I have no shit thought about, man, like, maybe I should hit them up and say, man, like, everybody learning from this. You know what I mean? Yourself included. Yeah. So maybe we need to do better on the spot check thing. But I never did it. I never said anything. So I'm kind of at fault too, because I never brung it up, never said nothing or whatever.
Now let's add another thought in here, right? And maybe we finally finally getting warm, y'all. It's been a slow 20 minutes, right? Maybe we finally getting warm, y'all, with this. So let's add another thought in here, right? So here's my other thought. On our ship, it was consequences if you didn't do the right amount of spot. It was a spot check matrix. I'm assuming it's like that on every ship, right? Spot check matrix. If you don't do the right amount of spot checks, you know, the captain or XO, somebody, they go holler at you, right? Like, you gotta go explain it or something like that, right?
Explain.
You gotta go explain it. Nobody want to go explain it. Like you was talking about last week when you was talking about it's not your money. Like, nobody want to go and like talk to the captain and explain something to somebody, right? Now, do you think that spot check matrix and forcing people, because already we in this limited availability of time on a ship, right? Somebody was just talking to me about when I was talking to one of the CMCs, he was talking to me about the carrier. He was like, man, you're gonna have evals on your desk almost every day. You know what I mean? So let's go back to like being on a ship and you got meetings and this and this. You still trying to own a small boy. You probably still doing some form of like corrective maintenance, something, drills, all this, and then you gotta do these 2 spot checks, right? So between you and the sailor, y'all schedules gotta line up, right? And that happens a lot. Are you and the 2 sailors you gotta do these spot checks with? Y'all schedules gotta line up. And I'm not making up any excuses. My spot checks, I can like the junior sellers know, like for the most part, I ain't really dial these spot checks in. They know that. Like some of them used to tell the other ones, yo, if Chief come, it's coming. I know my name, like ring bells about these spot checks. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to fail people though. I was trying to train people. So I might have less like failures and more like, yo, let's do some training or whatever like that. There's some people that I probably should have gave them the fail joint. You know what I mean? But so you think all this stuff mixed together and then knowing its consequences, like if you don't do the spot check, do you think that's what make people like just dial it in? I know I said a lot, but
I don't think it makes them dial it in. I think it makes them get it done.
Yeah, that's what dial it in mean. Like,
you know what I mean? I think they do this. Yeah, they do the spot checks.
Dial it in is like they just doing it without no effort. Like they just like.
Yeah. Man, I remember like one thing about those spot checks, man, you can't go back either, man. So you don't get those spot checks done. You done. Like I don't know if this changed or not, right? But I tell you one thing, and I learned this, and we was talking about one day about like being on the ship early and doing all this stuff ahead of time. If you don't put your spot check in for that week, right? Like put it in. Don't say you don't put the work in or whatever. Don't put like the spot check. But if it's not created and you mess around and go to the next week, you can't go back.
Yeah.
So you better that why on that Monday or whatever the case may be, you make sure you go in there, you enter that thing in there because ain't no going back. Because I know sometimes, man, you go in there, you have duty on the weekends, and then somebody like, hey man, how you get this spot check done? Who you got on board? You know what I mean? On the weekend, I gotta get this spot check knocked out. But yeah, man, I do think it dials it in to get it done because no one want to go, in the XO stateroom because at the end of the day, XO gonna look at this. He got to sign off on it, and you don't want to be that person. And it's always like 1 or 2. You know what I mean? Like 1 or 2 every time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Somebody going to talk to the XO about it.
But we get so caught
you know what
up.
I mean? And it was good.
No, I was saying we get so caught up in the requirement and caught up in like having to like be put on blast. It's like docking ship, right? And set in material condition, Mazi or Yoke or whatever. Like we get so caught up in like not getting put on blast that we forget the purpose and like some of these things, right? Like the purpose of the spot check, right, is for proficiency and confidence and all of that, right? The purpose in setting docking ship is for like security, like ship security. It's not so you could sign this list and don't get put on blast. That's not the part. You remember? Yeah. You remember what we used to do with docking ship? You remember? Yeah. Like when people come down. Yeah, and listen, we not super. I'm not no super chief. That was my nickname when I was going through the season. Right? They used to call me super chief or whatever. But I'm not that. Right? I'm not super chief for that. But I do believe in like sanctity of certain shit. Right? So I know you remember. Right? What we used to do. What we used to do at CCS, man.
Man, we look that time, we give them that few minutes to go by, we calling their ass out. On darkest ship. Like if they ain't came in there, man, and signed it out, they getting called out.
So
man.
You don't remember when
but not
you don't remember when sellers used to come down there? Were you still there? Sellers used to come down.
Yeah.
And like I'll be right there.
And sign and ain't looked at shit.
And I'll be like, I'll be like, yo, show me what you said.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember.
And now, mind you, some sellers, somebody might be listening, looking like, damn, this ain't, it's different types of people in this world, right? It's people that understand the value in this type of training. Then it's people that think you just trying to be an asshole, right? They just, in my opinion, they like the two. Yeah. It's like when I made my division, like read the NSTM 300. It was strictly for training. And some of them was like, oh, what the fuck, So people come down to CCS, right? Now, mind you, any other time you talk to us, we cool, man. Good people, we can talk. But you come to CCS and I'm like, hey, did you set it right? And I'm like, and they like, yeah. Well, I'm like, of course they come in without the card, right? The darkened ship card or whatever. So they come without the darkened ship card. I'm like, well, how you hit everything? They like, well, we got cards. I'm like, yeah, but you don't have it. So they like at most sellers, right? I committed it to memory, right? So they committed to the memory, right? So I'm like, yo, where your card at? Some of them, the card wasn't in the binder. Some of them, the shit need to get updated. So then I used to be like, all right, grab the card and take me to, whatever it is. Now, mind you, I'm on watch, right? So it's like somebody standing in for me real quick or something like that. Yo, stand in real quick. It's going to be like 2 minutes. It's like making a head call on watch. So I'll go with a seller to like some darkened ship switch or some, darkened ship. And for me, it's like, I didn't always know this. You know what I mean? So I'm going to pass this knowledge on. And then I talk to them. And it's like darkened ship wasn't set. I'm like, yo, so, the purpose of this is if I open this door, right, and expose any of the ship to the weather decks, that the lights would be red and it won't be white. Like, that's the purpose, right? And like, none of them really understand, but they always left happy. Like, they always left like more understanding, than it was when I first initially like kind of like they felt like I called them out. But it was never real loud. I would go right up to them, like at the book. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if you remember these days, man. You looking like you don't remember these days.
No. I remember. No. I remember. And it was the same thing. Like, and we went as far as having the cards in the binder.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this. We had them in the back.
Yeah.
Right? So some sailors were smart and they used to come down, grab the card first. But that's after we was getting on their ass a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By coming in there, then they start coming, grabbing it, going back out, and coming back in. So yeah, man, I remember that, man.
It raised the standards,
that was a big deal, man.
It raised the standard, and sellers know.
Yeah.
Sellers know.
Yeah, and then, man, like when they come in there and they see us in there, if we got the watch, they already know.
That's what I'm saying.
They may even tiptoe in that thing. They know we be looking. We have our our chair turned to the side. We looking over there. Who signed this? And we be looking at it. Time they put that pen to paper, baby. We be looking at them, man. But yeah, you're right though, man. Like, and we not going out our way. Trust me, man. Like you guys out there saying, okay, yeah, you getting dumber and fucking seeing leg and number. They be like going over the top. But no, man, it's more about the standard though. You know what I mean? It's more about, creating an environment that you don't get your ass caught up in. You know what I mean? Like, because what it is, man, is like, you go out there and you sign. I have seen this happen. We doing Mod Z. And I have seen where the XO or CO will come in CCS and say, who signed for this division?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because he or she knows it's not signed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they just they have to clarify. And so guess what? We just going to help you out and make sure you on your P's and Q's, make sure you're doing the things you need to do. That's all it's about, man. It ain't about nobody over the top. It ain't about me saying this and saying that, me trying to be cool. This ain't me trying to be nothing. I'm just trying to make sure you're doing the things you need to do so you'll get your ass in trouble.
And then like we out like over in like the South, like what type of seas we in? Like we over there by Japan, by Taiwan, Pacific seas and all of that. Like we actually being tailed by like Chinese Navy and things like that. So it's like, why would we not like darkened ship? It seemed like a small thing, but it's for the security of the ship. Pop that button out. Pop that button out on that switch and let that latch, go so that when you open the door, the red lights come on. That's the goal. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, man.
That's
the
it,
red
man.
lights come on.
Easy day.
People
easy
used
day.
to think
Seemed like
they used to think it was all about just turning the lights off. Like, I turned the lights off. I'm like, yo, that's not darkened ship. like that's not what darkened ship is. and it's like
how about that porthole?
Right, and I hate to just beat the dead horse, but it's for the security of the ship. A lot of sellers forget that. Like people like the phone out during seeing anchor. Like it's things that's happening that's like, yo, we're forgetting the reason why we can't do this shit. First of all, we the America's military, the United States Navy. Sometimes we out at sea in the middle of like close to enemy territory in the middle of nowhere or something like that. Certain security measures we have to like abide by or whatever. So.
Hey man, you know what's funny? I mean, it's funny now, man. Like we're not on a ship right now, so it's kind of funny like right now. But I remember a time on the ship, man, that it got so bad with certain divisions signing Darkest Ship and Mod Z and all this stuff that the Chiefs was down there sitting in Central.
Yo, remember?
They had to come down, sit in Central, and make sure this shit was signed, man. I know it's funny now, but I know the Chiefs was mad as hell.
Remember Angelo had his, hey, shout out to Angelo. I'm saying his name. Yo, remember Angelo had his guys mustering.
Hey, Angelo's getting some ass about that Mod Z,
He had
bro.
to muster. He had to muster in the CCS, man, for like 2 weeks.
Hell yeah, boy. Angelo mustered everybody too. Chiefs, everybody. Angelo mustered them.
Yeah, they're pissed, man.
No F's.
Yeah, they're pissed, man. They try to.
Yeah, man.
Man. Hey, so here's another question. I mean, I just be talking to these CMCs, man, and they, like I said, a lot of them, they so aware of what's going on. They got a good understanding of certain stuff. So, I create questions out of these conversations. I hope that, I hope everybody knows that in some kind of way, like they're my muse, like for this podcast, like every single conversation I'm having now is like, all right, let's, as much as I'm learning about CMC stuff, I'm, still thinking about like, damn shit, like what is this? Should we address this? So here it is. Was CPO 365 more effective than Seller 360? And I really want to talk like pros and cons, and of course, for anybody listening, this is based off our experience and what we've been through. And that's it, right? So there's not no hard fact. We got a disclaimer in the beginning. It's not our command. I mean, well, it's not how they doing it at your command. This is what we've seen in our times of experiencing this. Seller 360 been going on now for about 4 or 5 years, right? Officially, like around 4 or 5 years. Was CPO 365 more effective than Seller 360 to you?
Man, I think CPO 365 was more effective, right? And I'm saying that because we always on a schedule. We always on a time crunch of things. Sailor 360, you're pulling the entire command.
Yeah.
Right? Entire command, right? My take on this, and this is my opinion, no one else, my opinion is that junior sailors should be thinking about other things, right? And when I say other things, because the topics we come up in 360, some of those topics is probably these young sailors don't even need to know about or don't even care about, right? I felt like when we was doing 365, we was tailoring it to the first classes. They was trying to come in the mess. We talk a certain way. We act a certain way. We pretty much trying to get them ready, right? For the next step. 360 to me, I need my young sailors to be thinking about 3M, basic DC. I need them to be thinking about their basic stuff that they need to get done to be successful to the next level. Not thinking about, some of the topics that we have, Now, if we did 360 and we said, hey, we only need these junior sailors for this portion or that. But no, it's everybody coming in and everybody doing it. So, but I think they totally different also. You know what I mean? I think they totally different things. Like I think Sailor 360 is more about everybody. Your topics or a little bit more generic. I think 365, we knew where we was going and what we was doing as a mess and how we was tailoring that to the first classes to get them ready, right? We had to tailor everything down to different stuff because it was everybody was involved, right? So I can't come in that meeting and talk the way I talk to, like I'm talking to all first classes. You know what I mean? Now I gotta freaking talk and speak and do things a certain way. And most definitely in 360, I'm way more professional than I was when I was doing CPO 365. because 365, like I said, I'm trying to get them ready to a certain point. So I'm talking a different language. I'm talking a different way. But I thought I like 365, man, because I think it was tailored to first classes, and we talked a certain way, and we kind of understood what was going on. For a long time in 360, man, like no shit, we didn't really have the right guidance in the beginning on what we was trying to go and what we were trying to accomplish. We kind of built that shit on our own by the command. 365, we had a little bit more guidance because it was going on for a while. We knew what we was trying to accomplish and what we was trying to do. But yeah, man, that's my take, man. I just like 365 because I know where we was trying to go. And I think the first classes was, I ain't gonna say you never could be prepared for initiation. I think they was more prepared then than they are now when they get their name called.
What's some of the cons of 365?
So some of the cons of 365 was is that sometimes we put too much on the first classes. I don't think we were as chiefs, and this is my experience, is that we wasn't training a lot. We was giving it to the first class and say, you come up with this, and then we will train off of what you come up with, instead of us having a standard. Okay, like even the training that we had, like we know we had these PowerPoints that we wanted to go through. We still, at certain command, not all my commands, I'm just going on some of the commands, is that we let them fumble through the training.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Instead of, like, there's certain things we want them to do, but I feel like we just put too much on the first classes.
Yeah.
All the time.
Even if they
holding them down.
Even if they had a chief mentor them through the training, chief act like hell don't know them during the training when they start getting if they getting grilled about the training. The chief that helped them with it act like they don't know, like hell know them. Like,
yeah. And that's one of my biggest cons about it is the training piece of it, man. On like I think in that 365 environment, it should be a back and forth thing, kind of like an open book type training. I don't think no one should be like in charge of the training type deal. I think we should put that training up there. Like whoever the 365 lead is or whatever. But I think it was like phase 1 and phase 2 back then. In phase 1, I think whoever that coordinator should probably get the ball running. You know what I mean? On what we're doing. And then we just have conversations about this stuff, about leadership, about all these things or whatever we want to talk about for that day.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of hard set like topics too, though. Like a lot of like real topics, like sponsorship program, talk about it, like all the brilliant all basic stuff. And then like there was a lot of topics that had to have like some actual literal information, right? But another thing that used to happen during 365 was, even like you said, like the Chiefs, it seemed like the Chiefs didn't help that much with like providing or facilitating the training. But even during the training, like we joked about it before, if the first classes be like, hey, can any Chiefs give their experience on this? Like try to get like Chiefs involved. Chiefs be like, hell nah, you go or whatever, right? Like it was bad, man. like not even like trying to help.
And then, hey, and I'm being honest for people like, well, why you guys didn't help? That's why I'm talking about this right now. I'm saying the same thing. Yeah, I didn't jump up and be like, oh, let me go through it. No, I'm saying from my stand, we was all, sitting back. You know what I mean? Me included. I'll make sure I say that. Me included.
See, I'm good. I'm lucky because I came up in I was in first class during 365. So I never had to deal with like not helping or whatever like that. Yeah. Now, this is my opinion. Well, I got another question first. Do y'all do Seller 360 at your command?
Yes.
Consistently?
Yeah, they do 360. It's a sailor. I mean, she really good. She always on that 360 stuff. Then I got one of my guys over there where I'm at. He gonna be the alternate right now. So yeah, we do 360.
Okay. So I'm a shoot out an assumption. I'm assuming that 360 is not happening at every single command. I'll also say is at this moment right now and for the past at least 8 months, we haven't done 360 at my command. So from before last season, right? Let's just go there. From before last Chiefs season, I haven't seen anything 360 related at my command. Are we trying to get it started back up? Yes. Is somebody doing things? Is it motion? Yes, but it just hasn't happened in a while, right?
Yeah.
So for that mere fact, I say that 365 was more effective because 365 didn't really have these periods of like unsure ideas. And as much as you can, as much as we used to complain that one of the cons for me about 365 was if I was a first class and I completed my book, like let's say I completed it 1 year, I got to come back around the next year or at the next command or something and complete this same damn PQS book, right?
Yeah.
So 360 started with a lot of promise because that wasn't a thing. Like for 360, it wasn't like it's just one book that it was nothing really. It was just the compass, right? That was all it really was. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of telling us which way, like just to navigate which way we need to go through as far as the trainings that we want to do and things like that. That's all it was, right? So then you get like whatever topics based off of these concepts and you develop it all yourself, right? That's pretty much the way it was. Is right. I'm looking at it right here, as a matter of fact. So I'll read out what some of this was, right? Because we started 360 at our command. Like we actually started it at our command.
Yeah.
Right. But you had
and that was one of my biggest things about it when we started 360 was that we really didn't have a lot of guidance when it first came out. You know what I mean? It's just like, we got to get this up and running, but we really ain't had no guidance. We kind of came up with that shit ourselves.
You had alignment, habits, training, education, opportunity, feedback. Then it's a wheel. So it's, again, cyclic, right? Straight back to alignments, habits, training, education, opportunity, feedback, with self-awareness like all being in the middle. And then all of those topics had subtopics. So for instance, like alignment had ethos, vision, profession at arms, service, sacrifice, our true north, and things like that. So then we had to develop training based off of all of that, right? But for 360 now, in order to keep it fresh, after you go through those cycles, you will have to have new content each time, right? Which, we felt like that would be, pretty easy. But again, 365 was the same content. 360 is brand new content every time, whether we talk about like alignment again, like let's do it differently, and it was easy because you get a boat crew or you establish a group of people and y'all come up with something different than the last group of people came up with, right? So, which is different than having like this fully fleshed out PQS. However, that could get creating new concepts about the same content could also be challenging sometimes, right? So I'm not saying it was better or worse there, right? Before I kind of lose my train of thought, I'm not saying it was better or worse there. I disagree with you about the junior seller part, actually. I believe that 360, having junior sellers there, some of that stuff, some of those topics, it was less about like hard, cold programs and things like 365 was, as it's about finding ways to like add those programs and talk about those things into these big idea concepts like habits, training, education, opportunity, feedback, and alignments. Now, like, how do we add in how these programs work toward all of this, toward this whole compass or whatever like that, which is different than 365, where 365 is like, all right, here's a PQS section on FAP. Here's a PQX section on exceptional family member. Seller 360 is how do we kind of figure out a cool conversation to have and talking about this, which now introduces a young seller to these concepts. So I'm saying this because Seller 360 seemed like a very good idea. Remember when we first tried to introduce it to the command?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Here we go again, right? Talk about, you know, something, but we really did. Like we really did. It was us, like try to, and I guess eventually that's what makes us do something like make a podcast, right? Because we try all these things, right?
Yeah.
But
because we give a fuck,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, right. So we introduce it into the command, and man, like big idea, big thoughts. And it's a whole lot. Like it's super complicated because it's all like our brainchild. We established this brain trust of sellers from each rank. You know, we like, hey, this is going to be our thing and all of that. But again, like you said in the beginning, it's no real foundation. It's like, first of all, it's volunteer only. We're not going to make people do this. And then it's no real guidance, but like this small, there's no instruction. No, nothing. The command don't want to make it. I remember having conversations. Command like, hey, we're not going to make instructions for a program that's not mandatory. So some commands look at it like that. So it's really nothing. You know what I mean? So it's almost like getting rid of 365 for some commands was getting rid of a hassle, you know, and we don't have to worry about introducing Seller 360 into the fold. You know, we didn't got rid of our hands clean. We didn't got rid of 365. We good to go, or whatever like that. And I hope I'm hitting on something, right? I feel a little scattered in my thoughts right now, so I hope I'm hitting on something. Yeah. But so that leaves it in the hands of people, right? And when things get in the hands of people make decisions to like have as less of a load as they could manage, right? So I don't want to manage a load. What can I get rid of? This thing that's not mandatory, which is Seller 360. So I know some commands not really. Yeah. I know some commands not really doing it. It ain't even on their commanding officer's radar. You know, just because it's not. You got to keep shit on your commanding officer's radar, right? I don't even blame, like, when things not on CO's radar, man, I don't even blame COs. I used to as a junior seller. Used to be like, the captain on. Man, you got to bring things to your CO. Like you have to, right? I mean, can you chime in on that one, Damon, or what? Like, what's your experience with that?
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. Like the CO is like what I call the mover, man. That's why they got to know, because look, most COs, XOs, even department heads, man, they want to do things for the sailors, right? But if they don't know. What they're not going to bring anything up. They're not going to mandatory anything. But when you get it coming from the CO's mouth, man, like think about it for a second. If you had all hands call and the CO's talking about CPO 360 or 365 or whatever, he's talking about it. That's bringing attention to it. You know what I mean? Like if the CO ain't bringing attention to it, man, and then you got PB fatigue, like you can't. Ships are so have so many things going on. You have these meetings called, planning meetings all the time. If you don't have your training in these planning meetings, bro, it ain't happening.
Yeah.
It ain't happening. But I respect that because I run drills and I have to get all that stuff planned out. And I respect that because you trying to get stuff, everybody trying to get shit done. Everybody trying to get stuff in the calendar to get done. And man, the best way is to get it on that calendar, get it in that planning meeting. Now the CO sees it. Now the XO sees it. When we do all these meetings and they talk about it, and believe it or not, how many times we've been in these meetings and whatever we put forward may have to slide to the right.
Yeah.
We can't do it during that time because we didn't know we had this event going on.
Yeah.
We had that event. So that's another big reason why I think.
And the CO is?
The CO.
What you saying? No, what you saying?
No, that's what I was saying. That's the biggest reason why the CO should know, because sometimes the CO can say, hey, no, take that out. We going to do CPO 360.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sometimes he be on a team and then we had this meeting, like me and you had a meeting, man, with the CO, and we was going through everything, man, and how much like you kind of can get the feeling of how much involvement, he or she may be in or whatever. Or they freaking loving it. They not. You see all the expressions. You see, then you be like, you walk out of there, you be like, okay, this is going to be a good for the command because the CO's on board. You kind of get the vibe, you know what I mean, on how this is. Because sometimes you might say, oh, I don't know if we can get this done right during this month because we got X, Y, and Z. So you kind of get all this stuff, ahead of time so you kind of know what's up.
I'm looking at it like, and sometimes they need that motivation too. Like they need to know that it's a motivated driver of whatever program. What you got going on, man? So man, Tangle, man. Hey, for the YouTube viewers, man, I'm sorry, man. They got a lot going on. But sometimes they need to know that like this driver of this program is motivated and they're gonna make this happen. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of time you gotta stay motivated. You gotta keep your CO involved because in my opinion, the CO, and we went off on a tangent, but in my opinion, the CO is one of the busiest people on the ship. Top 10. The CO, like per capita, like one of the busiest people on the ship as far as responsibilities that they have to commit to. I believe that. Like that most junior engineer in the space might be neck and neck with the captain as far as actual responsibility task that they have to commit to. A lot of people don't really understand that. Like some CEOs don't even go to damn sleep. You know what I mean? Because
eat lunch.
Yeah, it's always
they eat lunch in the staterooms and stuff. Like
it's always a requirement. Man. It's always something that they have to do. But so back to back to this whole 360 thing though. Yes, I believe 365 was more effective just on a general strength that the foundation was already built, was better, easier to follow, seller proof, easier to understand. And it was happening across the board for the most part because I believe it was damn near mandatory. If it wasn't mandatory, it was believed to be so.
Hey, it wasn't mandatory for the commands I was at, but you knew who wasn't there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If your guy ain't showing up, why he's not showing up? What's going on? Why he not showing up at 365? And we had a record. I remember us keeping a record on attendance and all this stuff, man. So yeah, you're right, man. It wasn't mandatory, but it was mandatory.
And it did prep sellers.
In a way.
Right. And it did prep sellers to be chiefs. It did. It did give them a little bit more preparation than they have now. Like knowing all the master chiefs names and just understanding dates and even like cadence runs and stuff like that. So it really did. So I do believe that sellers, but that's the only reason. 360 is a high level concept. And it could be great. But it all depends on if we embrace it and if we make it great. So right now, to me, it's losing a race. But in the future, it could be winning that race if we did it the right way. And we need something. ELD can't do everything. You know what I'm saying? So we need some form of getting up. Because ELD is like you putting your sellers in a room with a chief that's not at their command or a chief that they don't really work with, and that person giving them the training on ethics and stuff like that. Like, we still need something inside the ship because that's where some of those relationships are strained. You know what I'm saying? Between the mess and the sellers.
I agree totally, man. I agree with all that. It's something has to be out there to bridge that gap, and sometimes junior sailors, like, they think they can't talk to khaki sometimes. And sometimes 360 is better for that because you got more than just your khaki as a chief. You got officers involved with it. Got all these people involved with it, man, that you can have a conversation with. And you'll be so surprised on like, man, I learned something today. And not just the chief, I'm learning from the junior sailors too, because sometimes the thought process, man, now is way different.
Yeah.
We do things like way different. The thought process is way different. So that's my pro to 360 is conversations.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That you have that you're like, man, I would have never thought of it. Not saying it's right or wrong how they doing it, but just the thought process of that sailor will make you a better leader and make you sit back. You know what? Let me listen first. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to listen first before you talk. And that's what I learn a lot from, man, like listening now, because sometimes, man, them junior sailors, they got some good points, man. And it make you better when if you write an instruction and you getting some points from the junior sailor, it make you think, man, like, okay, now I'm making sure when I write this instruction or write whatever I'm doing that I check more things, check more boxes off, explain more things, because maybe the way I'm thinking, I'm not explaining everything on a level of a junior sailor or a level of, higher ups. So it makes me think, a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely two different perspectives.
But yeah, man, I got a question for you now, man. You've been asking all the questions today, man. So my question is for you is, man, what is something that you do, man? You do all the time, and people don't like it, but you do it. And you do it for a reason. I know it's always a reason why you do it. You know what I mean? But you do it. People don't like it.
If I had to, I don't know. I really don't know. I think people love everything that I do. Right.
I know one for you. Maybe you want me to say it, man.
But did the topic come from? Did your topic come from the fact that you just wanted to say it?
No, it didn't. It didn't come from it.
All right, say it, and I'm gonna tell you.
I know what you do, but you know what? I'm gonna say mine first.
No, tell me mine first. No, tell me mine first.
Yours is, that you're smart, so you be knowing the answer to a lot of things, but you still ask the question. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's to find out, do they know it or not? You know what I mean? But you already be knowing the answer.
All right, so I guess this
is that a fact?
I'm not going to verify that. Is it? Hey, Damon, is it a fact? Is it a fact? Hey,
yes,
but
it's a fact.
I guess mine is probably along the line of what you saying. It's probably exactly what you saying. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna say what mine is. One thing that I know, I'm super, super, super stringent when it comes to the words that people use, right? So the way people say things, I'm super stringent about. It's another word that people say, semantics, right? People they call it semantics or whatever. But so if you say something, it's a point. It's like a realm of my realm of understanding where I believe that I most likely understand what you was trying to say, but you didn't say it. So I'm probably going to ask. Yeah, you didn't say it right. So I'm probably going to ask you, what did you mean, or what did you say? And that might be what you was talking about. But I'm probably going to ask you, what did you mean, or in the family of what you was talking about? Or what did you say? So you said it right because I don't like making assumptions or whatever like that. So it's just being super, literally analytical about what you said the right way so that I totally understand before I go off in a tangent about something because I don't want you to be like, well, I didn't say that, because it's oh shit.
Yeah.
But even outside of that, it don't matter what it is. It could be something simple. You could say something wrong, and I have the wherewithal to be able to figure out, that's really what this person meant, But instead of doing that, I'm yo, what'd you mean or whatever? Oh, if people knew me, they would understand what I meant. If you're a listener, you might not understand what I'm saying, but if you know me, you understand what I mean and what I'm saying as far as what I do. And I don't think people always like that.
Yeah. I agree, man. That you do that. And when you say it now, I be like, yeah, because sometimes, I'm big at it too, man. I know what I'm trying to say, and sometimes it may not come out right. And then you have told me several times, and what you mean by that?
Yeah,
you have said it to me several times. So I'm with you. I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. I'm trying to get the point. I'm trying to get to the, straight to A. You know what I mean?
What's yours?
But yeah, for me, man, mine is, man, I repeat stuff to sailors, and I know they don't like it, man. For example, I know you know what to do, but at the end when we going through, hey man, I need you to, to say for example, say I need you to do the P. I need you to do this P100. Make sure you guys do this P100 check today. But make sure you flush it out, with fresh water afterwards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I repeat that, knowing you have to do that, but I always find myself saying that, then I see the look on their face come on, see, I already know that. You know what I mean? But that's just an example. I always do that shit, man. The little things I repeat.
That's
to
because
make
you've been
sure.
chiefing. That's because you've been chiefing too long.
Yeah.
You making sure you say
I
it.
always repeat it, man.
Bro,
and sometimes I repeat it, you know what I mean, just for you to know that if you don't do it, I told you.
Yeah. Make sure you say it. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would hate that.
Yeah, man.
As a seller, I would hate it. Yo, that's one of my pet peeves. That's one of my pet peeves, right? I'm gonna give a little personal story real quick. I was going to church with Angeline, right? We going to church. We go the same way. She drive one way and I drive another way, right? She drive one way, I drive another way. So we going to church. But every time I drive my way, she make a statement about like how her way is faster. Like every time I go my way, right? She got to mention how her way is faster. So one morning, right? So I asked her one morning, right? This is how the day kind of plays out. I said, hey, babe, do you want to drive? And she said she don't want to drive. Well, no, she said it don't matter. It don't matter, right? I say, do you want to drive? She say it don't matter. So I'm like, all right, I'll just drive. Since it don't matter, I'll drive. So we get in my car. Now, mind you, this is the first turn leaving our house, right? The way thing, right? It's the first turn leaving our house. So we get in my car and I make it. And in my mind, I'm like, yo, I'm going to go her way today. Now, mind you, we running a little bit late for church. In my mind, I'm intending to go the way she would drive. Just it's Sunday, I feel like that's doing something for her. I'm going to go your way.
Yeah.
Before we make the turn, she like, yo, can you make the left instead of the right? My brain boiled, bro. Everything in my body. That's how petty I am too, I guess. But everything in my body burned on fire, yo. Because I was going to go that way. And she was just going to be happy that I chose to go her way without her ever bringing it up. It's this crazy thing, right? I spoiled, yo. So so for me, I get like 2 minutes. I get like quiet for a second. Like a minute or two later, I'm like, yo, babe, like, how come you ain't just let me, go and see which way I went? You know what I mean? And then, then we get this whole conversation where she's like, well, I should have just drove because like, if I knew that I was going to do this as soon as you made the turn, you gave me an opportunity to just drive. I should have just drove. Then we wound up having fun. We wound up having fun because we on our way to church. So like, we're not going to be super negative. So we wound up having fun with this conversation after. I see the difference between me and her. If she get upset, she could be upset forever, right? I think that's probably a woman thing. I don't know. But she could be upset for a long time. Me, I'm not really that upset that long. Yeah. So I changed the mood like very fast. I contributed to the mood changing. But yeah, bro, when people tell me things that I already intend to do, I either don't fucking do it no more or I get like real mad, bro. Like that's one of the things I have to grow from that. Like I get pissed. Like, yo, I was going to make this turn. I think I told her to ride. I was like, yo, babe, you don't control me. like, you know what I'm saying? Yo, like, yo, you can't control me. like, yo, I'm an uncaged animal. You can't control me, man. She's like, and then like,
hey, look.
Hold on real quick before you start, right? Yeah. Then she's like, like, men, like, sometimes you just say shit. Like, you just fly up the handle, right? And then ladies, they really be literal. She was like, babe, like, what make you think that I could control you? Like, do you really think I think I can control? I'm like, nah, babe. Like, I was just talking on my ass, man. Like, don't forget it. Forget I said that.
Deep on your ass.
yeah. Forget I said that.
Deep.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Whoa, I wasn't trying to go there with that.
Yeah. That's it, yo. What was you about to say?
Hey, man, I remember DC1, man. I just mess with him all the time when I like repeat stuff to him, man. Then I got so like bad at it, man. I used to tell him, "You mad I said that?" Like, I just ask him, you get upset because I said that? And he'd be, and I know he'd be getting upset about it, but he'd be like, no, see. I'd be, go ahead and say it, man. Like, go ahead and just say it. No, he was just so, trying to stay so professional. Yeah. He was like, no, see, I'm good.
Heated with your ass.
Yeah, man, that shit was fun as hell.
Should everybody be thankful for that service, bro?
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, I think everybody should be thanks, man. It's a sacrifice there, man. Like, it's a percentage of people join the military and whatever. So I think they should be thankful for it, man. And everybody got a job to do. You know what I mean? It ain't because you the captain of a ship you should be thanked. You know what I mean? It ain't just because you the you the chief, you should be thanked. I mean, I think everybody should because they made the sacrifice. They signed up. They went through their boot camps. They're now in the military, serving their country. And trust me, everybody's not doing it. Everybody don't want to do it. So it's a sacrifice they made to do it. So I think that everyone should be, thanks for their service.
So I'm going to go extreme. Jeffrey Dahmer was in the military. And when he was in the military, he got cases. Wild shit was happening. Like somebody
very extreme.
Locked in his room type stuff. Like rape people, shit like that. So you saying that...
Hey, bro, I don't think you say extreme. I don't think you can go I don't think you can go harder than that, bro. Nah, you come in extreme.
It's other serial killers, though, that was in the military. Like we talked about that officer, not serial killer, but we talked about that lieutenant that killed the young sailor last week.
Yeah.
You believe these people should be thanked for their service?
Well, you got me, Damo. I guess it's some exceptions, bro. You got me, man. It's some exceptions to this shit, man. Yeah. You can't be no serial killer. You can't. Yeah, it's some exceptions. I don't want to get too crazy with it, but yeah, it's some exceptions to it.
I mean, some people doubt his shit. Some people doubt his military shit in too, baby. Like, so the reason why I asked that question, I got some feedback from our last episode. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I got feedback from our last episode where we were talking about where I was talking about somebody from the VA, right? And what they were talking about. I got some feedback, and it made me ask that question: should everybody be thankful for their service? So let's not go that extreme. So are you saying that the general reason why you would thank somebody is for the fact that they signed up to join the military?
Yeah,
and not everybody signs up.
Yes.
So everything after that is baseless.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying until we went a little bit extreme with it. So you're right, it'll be some exceptions to it. Most definitely, if you breaking any type of rules or you doing anything crazy or whatever like that, those are some of the exceptions to it. But I don't believe like, hey, they signed up. We got to give them the benefit of the doubt when they sign up to thank them for their service. Now, again, if you do some stuff, yeah, that's another story.
Yeah, I'm on that page that I don't got to thank everybody. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody deserve that. You know what I mean? And there's some simpler stories too. It ain't just Dahmer. You know what I'm saying? It's some simpler stories of people that might not deserve that, like that might not have had the greatest of intentions, or for the entire duration of their 1.5, 2 years, 9 months, or however long they did. They just didn't ever care about what it is that we do here. And we talk a lot about greatness. We talk about like striving for things for yourself. We talk about like all of that stuff. We don't talk all the time about duty for country and things like that. And that's not what this conversation here is about. But like, yeah, everybody, like, no matter whatever your intentions were, like not everybody deserves it. And then talking about that, it naturally kind of propelled me to asking you, what advice would you give yourself if you were joining the Navy today? Well, let me ask the easier question. If you joined the Navy today, right? Would you, in today's time, you the age that you were whenever you joined, right? You was like 17, right?
18. Yeah.
18. So you was 18 when you joined. If you yourself could give yourself some advice right now and like helping yourself through your career, like you could be your own mentor or whatever, what would you tell yourself? But first question is, would you have the same rate?
I think I will have the same rate. And the reason why I think I will have the same rate is because, man, it fits me, man. I always been like, not when I say motivated, I'm not even talking about motivated to do things. I'm talking about like motivation, like I feel like a DC, we can be loud, we can be motivated to hurry up and put on your equipment. Being at the front of a casualty and lead, telling people what to do when you get to I just feel like that's me. You know what I mean? It's always been me. Like even before the Navy, I was always one of those guys to to run through stuff to get stuff, try to get it done as quick as possible and all that stuff. I just feel like it fitted what I was doing.
Mhm.
Even when I was on the ship when I first got there, I had options to go to anything was any rate in engineering. When we first got there, they gave us a choice. Like you going to if somebody picked you, say you going to get in the beginning, but you went in that division for about 60 days, 90 days or whatever, and then you could have went where where you want to go in engineering. Because at the time, if you was a fireman, you can only be in that rating. Now it's changed a little bit now.
But then you saw that P100. You saw the FFEs.
No, I started off in there.
Okay.
I started off in there.
Yeah. Well,
and
so
I stayed, but I could have went.
It was love at first sight.
Yeah, man.
You saw them.
And they kind of fit me. I love the drills.
Who's that, Spanner Richard?
Huh?
What's the
Spanner
Richard? You saw that. It lit up. It illuminated when you first
lit me. Let's go. And then back then, though, you work with that. We still do it now, but we work with the HTs closely. So I got a chance to try to learn how to weld and do all these different things. When I joined in on a frigate. So it was a small ship. So we work real close with the HTs and the MRs. So I gotta do cool stuff down there with those guys coming in.
Yeah. And I look at it before you go.
When it comes to advice.
But yeah, before you keep going, I look at it like with the DC men, y'all like y'all own, like in the Navy, right? Like different rates, like their own species. Almost, right? So like it's a whole genetic fiber, right? DC men got their own fiber. Bosun's mates, they got their own fiber. OSs, ITs, like different rates got the CSs, right? That's where most of the thugs, most of the gangsters, most of the gangsters are supply, man. Unless it's CSs, RSs, they got, supply got.
Yeah, they be gangsters. Supply
got the most engineering got the low gangsters. Like they try some of them low, but when they hit like the stage with the supply guys, it's a different type of gangster that's happening, right?
Yeah, man.
But like DC, man, like it's just like it's almost DC is almost like the engineering version of the bosun's mate. You know what I mean? Just that general workshop or whatever like that. Like it's like raw. Bosun's mates to me the most tattooed Navy. They got the most Navy tats and like, it's just a lifestyle. But you ever notice that like with the different rates, it's like different lifestyles or whatever. I don't know if you ever noticed that.
Oh yeah. Most definitely, man. Man, it's so crazy. We've been in so long now, man. If somebody come in and start talking to you, bro, you can almost know their rate.
Oh yeah, especially a chief.
Hey, what's your rate? OLS? Hey, what's your rate? Electrician? Like you kind of know these things, man, about people. When they come and start talking to you, man.
A BMC, crazy. I could spot a BMC from across the street, bro.
Yeah. Hey, man, you know what's funny? And I know my supply people going to be mad about this, man, because we told them they was gangster, man. But don't they be gangster with them clean uniforms, though?
Oh, no, yeah.
Them uniforms be creased up.
Yeah, supply. Yeah,
creased up, looking good, but they be gangsters hell.
Yeah. Supply, they fighting. You go FSA, man, it's like you watching people fight. Like it's all types of craziness going on with them. And then FCs got their own, like it's almost like a different type of FC is a break in the mold of what like FCs are or whatever like that. Some of the combat rates, they're a little too smart for me. You know what I mean? It's like going to the really, really nice coffee shop. Like I need to be down in the sandwich shop. That's engineering. Like the corner sandwich store, you get your hoagies or whatever like that. You go up top, you get an avocado. You go up the combat, you get an avocado toast or whatever like that. That's combat. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's everybody got their own world, man. But yeah, back to the question.
Yeah, man. Advice I give myself, man, or I just feel like when I came into the Navy, man, and I know I probably said this before, man, I kind of came in the Navy like by myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like literally by myself. Didn't have didn't have a support system. You know what I mean? When I came into the Navy, so. My only advice I give to myself, man, I wish I would have reached back a lot more to my family and it be more like my siblings and all those, man, we always been close, like regardless. But when I went into the Navy, they was doing their own thing and My mom was doing things or whatever, but I just wish when I came in, I was in the Navy. Say I went to San Diego as my first duty station. I just wish they could have came out, or we could have been more, a little bit closer. You know what I mean? At that time, you know what I mean? When I first came out, man, so my advice to everybody, man, like stay close to your family. You know what I mean? Like talking, even, I remember going man, months without even talking to nobody from home. You know what I mean? Like nobody. You know what I mean? And that's my only advice, man. And it'll help you, man. Like people who went through the things you went through will help you when you go on the ship, man. Because it's a whole new environment for you, man. When you go to a ship for the first time or whatever, the whole environment, the whole stuff you doing is different.
Yeah.
It's cool to go see people and talk to people who's on the same journey you was on, man, and stuff like that. Even my friends too, man. Like all those guys, I wish I would have had more of a relationship with. Now, I wish I would have stayed connected a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I got two things. My first one is about take as much as you give. Right, I would take as much as I give to the Navy every day. I would intentionally try to take something from my experience to equate to however much I'm given. It's been times that I gave so much that it burned me out, frustrated me, pissed me off, or whatever. And it probably was because it was an unequal balance of what I was taking. You know what I mean? So, and when I'm talking about taking, I'm talking about all of the benefits from Fleet and Family to, I used to take them quick assist checks. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, I used to take those. But I'm talking about Fleet and Family, college. It's people leaving with master's degrees and stuff like that, like multiple master's degrees. They going right into the civilian sector and getting jobs. I did go to college in the Navy. I did do that one thing, but all types of stuff. There's so much information out there as a chief that I've exposed myself to and thought more about. And it's like I only really thought about it because I had sailors and I wanted to be able to talk through it. But when it was just me performing, it was about me performing, about trying to be a good sailor, just being a worker. You know what I mean? And for whatever the system or program was. And taking is like understanding more about for me, taking would be understanding more about the heritage, understanding more about just basic Navy stuff, whether it's things that the Navy got to offer or the way that the military is, whether that be maritime strategy, anything like core concepts, things like that. Instead of just me putting my head down and just working, bro. I did that for like a long time, and I'm not talking about like not having a personality, not having friends or nothing like that, but I'm talking about my focus for the day was how much can I give to my career? How much can I give to the ship? How much can I give to my division? When it wasn't as much, how much can I take? And I'm not excluding like skating or something. I've skated. Everybody skated through something before. But I'm just talking about my mindset and my goal toward my every experience that I've had. So that's my first one. My second one, right? And I didn't really ask for two from you, but my second one is just to not get so caught up in perception. I think people, and that's not just a Navy thing, that's like a life thing. I think people put way too much stock into the way other people perceive things. That is the deciding factor in the choices that like you make, right? And now that I've been in this for a while, man, like for like my first like 12, 13 years or something, I didn't want to ever be like in front of the captain for the wrong reason. Like I didn't want to ever, get in trouble. Now that I've been in this for a while, if I'm fighting for like the right, and I've fought a lot in the military for the right reasons, stuff like that. But if I'm fighting for a right, I don't care how I look, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's do this. If I make a mistake, I don't care that I made a mistake. It's things that I probably didn't do because I didn't want to make a mistake. Work related things sometimes. At some commands, I'm an EM, right? So at some commands, it might have been like, man, I don't want to shift from shore power. Because if I go dark, everybody going, and it don't help that the way people like laugh at you, make fun of you when you make mistakes to the Navy. But it's like, I put too much stock in just perception a lot, for a long time. And I think a lot of us do. I think most of what we do, period, is based on perception. The clothes we wear, the way we dress, like all that shit be like based on perception. I go out now, man, I don't care how I look. You know what I'm saying? I don't care what I got on sometimes. It's days I do get you. I know how to throw some clothes on. But it's days I go out, man. I don't got to go to Walmart looking like $1 million. So, and these are lessons that you don't learn from nothing. You teach yourself this as you get older. So it's some young people that's like 20 or whatever, and they don't even know that's what they doing. Like, you don't even know you're doing that right now. You know what I'm saying? But I put way too much into it from everywhere. Like, you got to think about how many people you got to please now, right? You got to please your peers, on a peer level, like on a, we all still, when I was coming up, we all still thought we was in the street. We all still thought we was some hood or whatever. So you got to still do that. Meanwhile, I still got to try to be sale of the year. Meanwhile, I still got to try to be this person. I still got to, it's like 6 different identities. I would have any issue I've ever got myself into in my entire life, it was because I was being somebody that I wasn't, and it took me over 30 years to figure that out. Any problem I ever got to in my entire life, it was because I wasn't being 100% authentic to who I am, what I want to do, my dreams, my goals, and my aspirations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's big, man. That's huge. I tell you, man, you brought up something that keyed something to me the other night. Like, so you guys already know I got a son that's in the Navy, man, and he's on a ship right now. And he's talking, the other day, he's talking to his mom on the phone. And we was talking about like jobs and one of my jobs, and we was like teasing him, like, yeah, man, like I might be coming to your ship, like just teasing him a little bit like that. And he was like, nah, nobody wants to come to this ship. And I wasn't even in the conversation, man, but that triggered me, man. When you saying like this dude been in the Navy less than a year. And already he's talking like, what other ship you been on? Like, these are my questions to him. Like, what else ship you been on? What else you know about ships and all this stuff? So the first thing I thought about, man, is that's the perception of somebody else he's been talking to have told him this, because he don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he don't know. So when you bring up the fact of like, it's the perception of somebody who wants you to be a certain way, I think about that because now, he's now have jumped in the same mode of going like, oh, this is a bad ship.
Yeah. No
one wants to come here. Like, why are you even thinking like that? What made you think like that? Like, you've been on several ships before. You know what I mean? So and that's kind of conversation that I was thinking about when you said that, and not being 100% you can love this. You can love it, but you will tone it down because somebody else don't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can tone it down. So back to being 100% you, that's why, you know what I mean? That made me think like that, man. Like, be you, man. You know what I mean? The best of your ability anyway. And that's some good advice, man, because a lot of times we are not like that, man. We see the situations that's going in and we try to blend in a lot. You know what I mean? To the situations and stuff instead of being ourselves a lot. So that's some good advice for everybody, man. That's good advice for me too.
Now, talking about your son though, right? Real quick before we move on. I know you got something else you want to talk about, but talking about your son, it makes me think of the Mick Pond story about his son, right? Because I think it's case by case basis, bro. So Mick Pond was talking about him and his wife. They were talking about his son, right? The story gonna stick with me for a while, just because. But his son was in the Navy. Right. And he said his son would have worked for nothing. His son would have worked for free. That's just the kind of dude he is. But he left because he said his command didn't take his leadership, his chiefs, whoever it was, they didn't consider his ideas. They didn't really consider his thoughts. None of that. Now, mind you, this the Mick Pond's son. Now, he sure he wasn't the Mick Pond at this time, but he'd been in the Navy for a long ass time. So at this time, whatever time this was, if it was within the last 6 years or whatever, he was still a very high ranking member of the military, big time. He was still big time. He'd been big time for a while. So, you've been seeing this your whole life. Your dad is in this thing fully committed. And you go in, you bred in that, man. And you go in like coming in off your dad, knowing his pride and knowing, his lifestyle. And you go in and you just have a shitty ass experience, bro. Because of people. Because people like not considering your thoughts, your ideas, your opinions. Boom, boom, boom. Now, mind you, I don't know if he's on that bitch. Like, yo, my dad said to say he probably wasn't. But it's like, damn, bro. So yeah, like when we could talk about like young sellers, and this contagious idea that everything fucked up. But then we also got to talk about things actually being messed up. You know what I'm saying? How you just said you like to listen to young sellers and you like to get, like, you learn from them. It's dudes out there that's not, bro. It's dudes out there that's not. McPlin, he said, yo, my son would have done this shit for free. He would have just worked. He loved the Navy. He just loved the idea that he got out. Like, y'all can't do this, man.
Yeah.
So
crazy,
to me, that's
man.
crazy,
That's
bro.
crazy. Yeah. And actually, man, that leads right into my next, question for you, man, is about what is a successful tour for you, man? At a command, what is a successful? It could be short duty or sea duty, doesn't matter. I don't know if you want me to start, but I like to know like the successful.
That's
tour.
crazy because it's kind of aligned to like my next point. But I look at it a lot of ways. It's some constant things that happen that I consider to be my job. Then it's constant things that happen that I consider to be a part of who I am. And I'm not going to talk about the things that's a part of who I am, right? And that's got to do with caring about sellers and people and the personal aspect of that, right? If you don't know and understand that shit by now, then you're never going to know it and understand that. So I'm not going to talk about it. But the benchmarks that I think about work related is like, yo, did I do my job? You know what I'm saying? Like, did I come here, see something, improve on it? When I leave, am I setting up the next person for an easy transition so that they could see it and improve on it? However it may be, without having to double back and do anything that I did already. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm happy if you don't have to redo something that I did. You know what I mean? Now, it's other like external things that got to do with people that really drive me more than anything else. When it come to work and success, and we talk about changing lives and we talking about inspiring people and all that, right? But I don't want to get into that. I'm strictly sticking with the workplace performance aspect, like my actual job. If I come to a ship, I want to grow the tradition of like EM so that it could always be like that foundation could be set for the next person, the next person, the next person, so that I properly affected the culture of being an EM. Again, like I said twice already, I always intend to affect the culture of the ship, moving forward. But I want to affect the culture of the division moving forward. Before I get off of that, right? And I hope that made sense because it could be a very high thought in my head. That's sometimes my thoughts be weird. But I want to cap that off with like a conversation I had recently. Somebody was saying, do you ever see a ship that just seems like it's a bad ship? Like it's always bad, no matter how long the ship been on. Like no matter how long the ship been around, no matter what crews, what COs, whatever, it's always bad. And he said this, right? And like you could negate it, you could argue it or whatever. But I kind of felt like I understood what he was saying. So he said, do you see that ship that seemed like it's always bad, always unsuccessful, got a bad reputation? He said 9 times out of 10, that ship had a bad group of plank owners. It was bad when it was in pre-com. And they set the wrong foundation of that ship. And that spirit of those plank owners and that pre-com ship lives on through the duration of that ship. And I like that he said that, And for me, that's what success is leaving my command knowing that I set forth a good spirit in my division, in my shop, and the way we do EM work and the way we present ourselves throughout the ship. That's it.
Yeah, man. I'm along the same lines, man. I'm along the same lines, man. I know it's kind of cheesy, but we always say stuff, leaving the command better, than it was when you got there, man. Trying to find a way to do that. And to take it a little bit further, man, like when failures and mistakes and things like that happens with the job, man. But we can't duplicate them either. You know what I mean? We can't have multiple things of the same thing that's happening. So I want to be able to teach my guys and teach, everybody who under me that we know how to learn from things too. I mean, we know how to get better. But when it comes to the work side, I'm on the same line as you, man. When it comes to doing our job every time, and my sailors know that I'm going to be prepared. You know what I mean? I'm going to be prepared for whatever we got going on. I'm going to put us in the right the setting. I'm going to put us in the right place, to the best of my ability. And they know that. I mean, they know that. The job of a damage controlman, man, is pretty much the same on every ship I go on. It's not a big difference. The only difference is more of it. You know what I mean? The bigger ship is more of this damage control equipment. Smaller ship is less. So it's all the same. It's all about the buy-in to me. Having your sailors buy in that they know that I have their back. You know what I mean? That I'm gonna train them, that I'm gonna teach them every day though, man. Like, cause and I say that, man, to say this about the sailors knowing I got their back is because a lot of sailors are scared to talk to their chain of command.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they scared to come, knock on the door and say, "Hey, senior, can I talk to you for a minute?" Because there's some things that could be going on that they may not want to talk to, this person for that person. So I want to set that foundation early to let them know they can come talk to me about anything because, and I don't want to get into the life thing, but just the job itself, man, because people have different ideas, man, on how things get going. If you don't get to the root of it, it's going to be a problem because because sailors going to think they can do things better. If they're scared to talk to you, they'll never bring that up. And I'm not saying it's good or bad, but it's the fact that you need to talk about it. Because, say, for example, this young sailor come up and he's like, "Senior, I can do this job easier, faster, and safer."
Yeah.
If they say that, I want to hear it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm okay with you talking to me about that. Let's bring this up. Because a lot of times what they don't know is, a lot of times, man, PMS cards, manuals, all these things are written because somebody got hurt, somebody died, or whatever the case may be. So I want to make sure from your safety standpoint that you can do it like you want to do it and it's still safe. So that's why I want you to bring that stuff to me. But yeah, man, I'm all about doing things the right way, man, and try my best to do them the right way. And being prepared, man. Like I know a lot of times, man, I've seen people come into these meetings and come into these things and they just don't put their sailors in the right position to win. You know what I mean? I want to put people in a position to the best of my ability anyway, to win, to put the ship, the mission and all that stuff in the right position. So yeah, man, that's kind of my thing, man.
Hey, so I'll touch on one thing you said, right? You said a lot of sellers are scared to talk to their leadership or whatever, right? You talk about divisional leadership. Now, I want to say this from my point of view and perspective. It's a little slightly different point of view and perspective from Damon's, y'all. I think a lot of sellers, it might be some that's scared, but I think a lot of sellers are uncomfortable talking to their leadership. And they uncomfortable talking to their leadership, right? Because y'all uncomfortable talking to them. Y'all uncomfortable talking to them. So I think that's why a lot of them uncomfortable talking to y'all. So when you talk about Mark, right? I'll bridge this in with Mark. I'll bridge this in with the McPon son. Just in the idea and concept. I've talked to multiple junior sellers who had their guard up. They fucking guard up, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like even at my job now, if I just happen to pass a seller, like I was talking about, like on an elevator or something, I can tell a seller that's guarded. right? I've talked and I've worked through the process of establishing comfortability in a seller. And that was based off of me asserting myself as being able to be comfortable talking to them. I've seen a barrier break down. A lot of us ain't humble enough to understand, like, yo, like this is another human. And I have to work this barrier with this human. Like, that's anything, any relationship, anything. Like, everybody's not going to be comfortable with you just because you their chief or just because you in there or whatever, right? So yeah, I remember like a dude being like, well, how come this seller talking to you about it, but they ain't talking to me? I'm their chief. Or how come this seller ain't talking to me about things because they not comfortable? You don't talk to them at all. Like this is even worse than what I'm saying. Like, you don't talk to them at all, dog. So they not comfortable talking to you. They not going to tell you nothing like this. First of all, they probably think you about to judge them. They probably think you about to take whatever they say and go tell the next person, and then the next person and the next person. And the way you going to package that, like you just passing information that you got to pass. You just keeping people in the loop. You know what I'm saying? No, you're not. You spreading the rumor mill. You're talking about somebody in the way that you really don't have to. So a lot of that is comfortability. Some of these young sellers then been burned already to a point that they ain't comfortable talking to us, bro. So these are things that we got to be smart enough and mature enough and more experienced enough to understand when we're working these relationships. I had a topic that I left out that we never talked about, but it was about, I generally see two sides of people, and I like to tap into the positive side. You could pour fuel on the fire of the seller that's non-social or that's not open, that's not comfortable. You could continue to keep them in that way, or you could go the other way. You could tap into something that they're good at, something that they're interested in, something that that's a different side of them. You could tap into that until you may, it's not 100% guarantee all the time, but you may see positive results from going the other way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you call a kid bad, like a kid, not even talk about sellers no more, a young kid, sometimes if you call a kid bad, you could set that in that kid. You can make that kid believe that they're a bad kid, and then that kid just start doing bad shit, like forever. But if you know that kid is like a little busy, but in that kid being busy, they're smart. They like to learn shit and get new experiences and stuff like that. Whereas you might say that's bad. Yo, man, you can't get into that. You shouldn't get into that. You shouldn't mess with that. You shouldn't drop that. Instead of saying like this kid bad, you could say, hey, this kid is smart. This kid always like to learn new stuff. You could do that. And then that kid will take that and make that a part of, who they are. I mean, that's just my thoughts on all that.
That's that positive side, man. Positive.
Yeah, tap into that. So my question for you is this. I got another question for you. Do you have a quote? We could probably name this episode Questions. It's a lot of questions in this shit.
No, right?
Do you have a quote in your signature line?
I do not.
Damn, man.
But I don't, man. But I aim to do it, man. Because I think we had this conversation before with Aaron. And Aaron told me, everybody, he said, bro, you need to get one. I remember him telling me that, man, get a quote in your... Yeah, I remember him telling me that, man. So I need to get one in my signature bar. You got one?
Yeah, if we had the conversation, I forgot all about that. If we had the conversation with Aaron, I guess I said it already. But it was don't limit your challenges, challenge your limits or whatever. But if we had the conversation with Aaron, then I must have already talked about it. But my quote changes. My quote changes all the time. My quote changes. It's going to change at the next command. It's going to change at the next command. This command, the don't limit your challenges, challenge your limits. A lot of that was me figuring out how to work and do the podcast at the same time. Another thing was the pizza company. That was another thing, but I didn't have the legs to do all three like with the same amount of energy. I just didn't have the legs to do all three with the same amount with the same amount of energy.
Most definitely.
All right, this might be our favorite time of the pod when we get questions from listeners, man. Like this might be our favorite time of the pod, man. So we got a question from a listener. Rolling Tide 22. Once again, Rolling Tide 22 is not a part of Permission to Speak Freely entity. We don't have a bot. He's not a sleeper cell. He's not a secret person like when you go see the magician and there's somebody in the crowd that's a part of the trick. Nah, he just send us these questions. If y'all got questions, send it to us. And you know, if you send it on YouTube, most likely we're gonna reply. If it's a question on YouTube, most likely we're gonna reply on a podcast, probably the next episode. If it's on social media or something, we might just respond right then. But send us the questions. And the best chance to get both of us to respond is like on YouTube, or if you say, hey, can you respond to this on the next episode? Something like that. That's the best way to get both of us to respond. If not, then the PTSF account is going to respond. And we really still don't know who's managing that yet. So whoever that is behind the PTSF account, thank you. All right. So yeah, because that person might just argue with somebody on TikTok or something. I don't know who the hell it is. So Rolling Tide 22, right? He asked us, what was our experience entering the mess post-initiation? And he also said, how is it being a new chief if you stay at the same command? Damon got more time, more experience. So I'm going to let him go first. First question is, what was your experience entering the mess post-initiation?
Oh, man. It was, so first let me give you a little bit of a backdrop. I did it, I made chief on a aircraft carrier, right? So it was different already, man. Like the number of people, like you had over like 100 and some chiefs in the mess. And we all in this chief mess, man. And tell you the truth, we didn't know each other. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like a small ship, small command where everybody know each other. They know all the first classes. They know all this. Man, a lot of people didn't even know each other and stuff. So to me personally, man, I thought that made it easier post because when I went in the mess afterwards, man, like, you know, sometimes, you know, we did our due diligence when it came to all the new chief stuff. Like when we ran all the new chief stuff, we did all that stuff. But I think the difference was, man, a lot of people didn't know you. You got more flap when you went as a new chief from people that you knew. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the people like, the DC, because DC, we had our own table. Like engineering, we had our own spot in the mess. It wasn't like a whole lot of mingling over here when I was on the carrier. It wasn't a whole lot of mingling, man. Like you had your engineering, you had your this group, this all of them. They all sit together all the time. You know what I mean? So that made it a lot easier, man. On me going into the mess, but it was easy, man. It was seamless, man. I loved it, man. Because when I tell you I loved it, man, the mess on a carrier, bro, it is so big. It's so like you got your. And then when it comes to the food and stuff, man, you got your own freaking CS. Like the own CS is down there. And it's a chief. You know what I mean? The head guy is a chief down there. The first class is you got all this part of just the chief mess. You know what I mean? For the CS. And so man, it was great, man. I had a great time on the carrier, man. It's huge down there too. Now being on my first ship, and I didn't leave either. I didn't go nowhere. I stayed there on board the ship. And it was when I first got there, it was 2 chiefs already there that was DC, and then one of them ended up getting in trouble and ended up leaving. And then it was just me and the other guy. Me and the other guy, man, we still friends. I'm like, we like good friends to this day. I mean, we work well together, man. So, yes, he was the LCPO, but that stuff didn't even matter to me, man, because I was learning. You know what I mean? I was a new chief. I was learning all the ropes. So it wasn't like if I was at a command, like a small ship, you know what I mean? And then it was like, okay, I need to go somewhere else and do my own thing. You know, there was you can separate yourself in here. Like he can do this and I can do that. And it was seamless. You know what I mean? And it was built for that many that many chiefs. So it was easy, you know what I mean, to do on there. But I had a great time, man. The only way I didn't stay on that ship, like I ended up staying on that ship like 2 years, but I would have stayed longer, man. But I was up for shore duty and they had a good shore duty for me. If it would have been some shitty shore duties, I probably would have stayed on that carrier a little longer than what it was. But I was going from there to ATG, which I wanted to go to, you know what I mean? So that's how that went, man. But it was a good time. I have nothing bad to say about going back into the mess post. Easy, seamless. Everybody's happy, man. Only crap I got from the mess by anything is just the uniform. I mean, it wasn't salty. You know what I mean? But other than that, man, it was a good time, man.
Yeah, my experience entering the mess post initiation, I got to do the same thing like you. I got to kind of do the background. I was a part of 2 commands at the time because I was stationed in San Diego working for LCS Squadron. So I was a part of LCS Squadron, but I went TAD right before the results came out. And I'm never thinking about results. Like people ask about results. Oh, he's Master Chief. Like, I'm never thinking like I'm about to like, after I didn't make Chief the first time, like I'm never thinking about results, right? So I made it, second time up. But as I'm going, so I'm TAD to this ship. I think one of my grandmas, and the process of all this happening too, my grandma was like terminal, bro, like hospice type, stuff. So TAD to the ship, waiting on the deployment. The same day I think we found out the deployment was canceled, we found out that I made Chief. So I was TAD, somebody else was TAD, somebody else was brand new, and then somebody else, the other person was a part of the crew. This is 4 of us. So TAD to a ship, it was an LCS, left squadron, 4 of us, we go through the season. They kept me with this crew throughout the season, even though the deployment was canceled. We might have found out the deployment was canceled like 2 weeks after the season started or something like that. It was very close to the beginning of the season. Again, at the same time, my grandma going through this hospice, like it's crazy time. Like I cried during like final night and stuff like that. It had to do with my grandma. But so we found out that we make Chief, go through the season. It's over. Now the reason why I keep saying that, because what's going through my head is that I'm going to have to go back to the big mess, the LCS Squadron mess. The only time we really interact, they knew me well, actually, because going through the season, we did training with them and different things with them. We did like the leadership courses and stuff with Squadron, right? Because it's only 4 of us. They wasn't doing all that stuff, which made a whole lot of sense. So I just knew like, damn, I'm going to have to go into this brand new mess that I really don't know anybody at, except for the, bit of exchange that we went through versus this mess that I feel like I kind of grew up a little bit in. But as soon as I made it, I stayed with the LCS mess for a little bit of time. I went to the first Chiefs meeting. I believe that around this same time, we were discussing an operational pause because we had 2 collisions. I believe this was around the same time. I think that was the conversation in the Chiefs mess was about this operational pause. But I was confident. I was ready, maybe overconfident because I felt like, I had to let them know, like, I wasn't that select. Like, I'm not that select, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But even as a select, because I talked to them after, I talked to all of them. Even as a select, they was like, we saw your potential as, we know that you're good. And, I had an alpha personality, stuff like that. But so I sat back, I relaxed. But it was cool being with people that I would consider to be like mentors and stuff like that. However, that was short-lived. You know what I mean? Because either I was going to have to go back to the squadron, in which, again, I knew some of them was comfortable around them. And I was looking forward to the training wheels. Let me say that, right? As a brand new chief, I was looking forward to having these people that I considered to be like mentors around to like bounce ideas off them, right? So that's why I'm calling it training wheels. But that didn't happen. I went to a brand new ship. I went to a new ship shortly after. That's the only Chiefs meeting I made it to. And that was like a week after I made it. I went to a new ship. So we made Chief in September. I was at a new ship by November. And that's the ship that Damon was on. I think I went during like leave because I don't think you were there when I first got there. But so when I went there, so I didn't have the same ship experience. I had the new ship experience. And we talked about it in the episode that came out that we never, in our first very episode we ever did, we talked about my like first day in the mess type experience, but we never put that episode out. But I came in there and I just felt like I needed to assert myself. Like I needed to, it was like a jail mentality. Like, yo, I get here, I gotta let them know I'm on the block. I'm who, like this me or whatever. So I did. So I felt like I needed to assert myself, man. But I had some mentors, some big brothers, big sisters. It was what I would have wanted, what I thought I was going to with the other mess, and what I thought I was fighting against with the new mess, just because it's like, all right, let these people know who I am or whatever. I'm coming to be a chief, boom. And I met some people that if ever I need help, if ever I need guidance, if ever I need anything, I can reach out to these people. And not a lot of them knew for a long time that I was a first year chief. I think my division, my guys facts, probably bro. Knew. Yeah.
That was facts, bro.
Yeah.
I didn't know to a long time.
Yeah. It wasn't until like they called. What's up? I'm listening.
So I remember, and you know what? I never even thought, and I'm going to tell you why it really threw me off when I found out you was a new chief, because I remember our first interaction in the mess. And it's kind of funny, man, but it was funny to me anyway. But I remember, because I'm going to tell you guys right now, man, I'm a big believer when I go on a ship, engineering department. I like us, it's the engineering department, man. That's kind of where I'm at, man. What we doing, engineering department going to be better than your department.
Yeah.
That's how I look at things anyway when I'm on the ship, man. I'm trying to. Right. So, I remember you first got in there, man, and you was like, hey, I know the last EMC was doing their thing, how they was doing it, but you was like, I'm not the last EMC though, and it's gonna be some changes. And I remember I was like, bro, that kind of made me thought it wasn't your first like rodeo. You know what I mean? When your first mess, I'm like, I'm only got up in this thing and say it's gonna be some changes in here, man. Like, man, I know it was coming from. It was coming from like, I think trouble calls, or it was coming from a place like that. I think how you
like it wasn't
different.
Yeah, it wasn't toward the mess. It was about how we were operating, and it wasn't negative either toward Joyce either. It had
no.
But because she was there, she was actually there when I said it. But it wasn't toward the mess. It was some changes in how we were doing things. But I don't think that's how the mess, even if the mess did understand, that ain't how the mess act like they understood what I was saying.
Yeah, no, not me. I was all about that shit, bro. I remember for a long time, I was like, it's going to be some changes, right?
Yeah, that's what y'all used to call me.
With you for a while.
Yeah, y'all used to call me changes. Y'all used to call me changes. And I guess I was like it's some very senior chiefs in there, whatever that, that might have been a good way to introduce myself, because I feel like I had a lot of people I could look to and a lot of people respect me. But like in hindsight, I feel like in hindsight, like Scrappy Doo, like just the little dog that's trying to like start something that, in hindsight, but maybe that's not how it was received. Maybe people say, "Oh, this dude's serious. He ready to do his thing or whatever."
I most definitely respected it, man. But then I think I respected it a little bit more because you was an engineer too, though. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, yeah, let's roll, let's do this, man. So it was most definitely pretty cool. That made me think when I found out you was the first year, because I think it came up some kind of way, man. Like it wasn't even a thought process.
Yeah, we was getting ready for the next season. Like we started doing things to get ready for the season, and it was like first years, whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm a first year. But remember, I started taking collaterals. Like I came to Semio. You know what I mean? Like within that year, my first year, I wasn't even getting paid for chief, and I had already been a Semio school, so. It was things like that was happening that I could see. But then one day, like it was one of the master chiefs in the Met. He was like, damn, I ain't know you a first year, man? I was like, yeah, I'm a first year. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I never really came timid. But we had like Angelo and Cobb. There was people in there that like, first of all, they're going to make you step up. You know what I mean? They're going to make you step up. And then it was also like, you could kind of go to them on a back end. Because no matter if it's your first year, second year, fifth year, these dudes been in over 26, over 25 years. Yeah. They gonna kind of guide you through whatever. They don't care what year you in or whatever. So that was a good thing for me to have them. And I've went to every Dirk, all everybody. Like I went to everybody for at some point or another for some form of guidance. And I will still do it. You know what I mean? I still do it. And if they hit me up, I still take the things that they say serious. You know what I mean? We didn't extend it out of that to like Master Chiefs and Senior Chiefs like that I've never served with. That it's like, yo, if they hit us up, all right, what you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? But yeah, so that was my experience going into the mess. I felt like I had to go in there and, you know, make myself known of who I was.
Yeah.
Because that was something Angelo said.
Great, man.
He was like, make yourself known. Yeah. Like, who are you? I'm like, can I put my food down first? Yeah. But yeah, that was
man. Speaking of like, just so you guys know, man, like the mess that Dumbo is talking about, man. And this me, man, I've been into, I made Chief 2011, man. So I've been into some mess, man. But that mess was so freaking strong, man, that it wasn't even funny, man. I don't know if I said this before, but that mess was one of the strongest messes I ever been in, man. I remember when I got there in 2015, and I remember like I didn't even ask like Cobb, man. I didn't even ask Cobb to like look at my record or nothing, man. Cobb like looked at my record,
yeah,
and he was like, he like told me, man. He said that's like one of the best records I ever looked at, man. You gonna make Senior Chief? Like he just told me that. So you gonna make Senior? And of course, a few months later, like 2000, the next year, man, I made because I didn't make it the year before I got there. I was up for it. I was up for it. I didn't make it. Then I get to the ship, and he was like, "Man, you gonna make Senior Chief?" He said, I look at your record. He said, one of the best records I ever looked at. You gonna make Senior Chief? And I made Senior Chief that year, man. That next year I made it there. And then, man, like just the growth of like everybody, because I could, at first I was like, man, let me try to leave this ship or whatever, man. Then of course, that didn't go the way. No, you ain't going nowhere. It was good though, man. Like that's probably one of the best experiences, man, of a mess. If you was a new chief and you made it in there, man, you probably learned so much shit.
Yeah.
You probably learned a whole lot, man, up in that mess, man. It was good.
And for Rolling Tide 22, I do want to tell you this, man. Every mess ain't the same, and that's part of what Damon's saying. Even the same mess could be different. Like that mess had about 2 to 3 different lifetimes to me, like completely different identities to me. It depends on who your senior LCPOs, your senior DLCPOs are in there. Your CMC adds to that. Your young chiefs who kind of, like me, I was a young chief who kind of just kept on climbing or whatever, just kept on establishing myself or whatever. And somewhere or another, at some point, Damon was the president of the mess. I was the vice president of the mess. So the communication that they have with the war room, the relationship they have with the war room, like all of those things can contribute. So every mess ain't the same. The mess I'm in now, is different from the other mess. I'm in a region mess, and it's a bunch of small messes that can join and become the region mess. Some of the small messes, I go out and see some of the small messes like with better legs than our combined mess or whatever like that, which means some of the small mess like idea makers and idea carry outers, they doing that shit for their small mess. They not bringing it to the big mess. So like that matters too, Rolling Tide 22. Like the mess you in, you see him. Like we like to do this where it's like if one chief do something or two, somebody said like if 2 chiefs come out, you could say the mess was there or whatever, right? So we like to do that, but every mess is not the same, man. We just one big thing, but bro, every mess ain't damn same. Some mess weaker than each other, weaker. Some mess stronger. Some messes be like divided, like you got different cliques. Like every mess is not the same. You know what I mean? You just need to. Hey, good luck too. I think Rolling Tide said he up. He up for chief this year. Good luck. Hopefully you made it. I think he made board. So congrats, good luck. Like we talked about it. Congrats, good luck. So congrats, good luck. Hopefully you do make it and you get into a mess. But what I will say is you need to add to that mess. You need to contribute to that mess. And don't do some shit that somebody else is doing. That's another lesson. If Michael Jordan on that team, then you're not Michael Jordan. like go be Dennis Rodman, go be Scotty. Like go work to make that team better. But don't fight to be Mike if Mike there.
Yeah. You'll get a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get a chance.
Yeah. Book of the week, right? Book of the week. And that's not just a my thing. So book of the week for the like newer listeners, book of the week, it's an all of our thing. You know, Damon and Tish, they can have books of the week too, right? Book of the week ain't just my segment. I was listening to the episode last week. David was like, "Yo, we about to go to your thing, man." I'm like, "Yo, book of the week ain't just my thing, y'all. You know, it's all of us." It started out. It started out. David was doing it too, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, man.
This book though is called Outlive. Outlive by Peter Attia. He's a medical doctor. He had somebody work on it with him, Bill Gifford. Outlive, the science and art of longevity, rethinking medicine to live better longer. Straight up 5. I think I gave it 4 stars, but I think I only gave it 4 stars because about 15 to 20% of this book, 10 to 15% of this book, some of the conversation is a higher level than my brain could comprehend because he is a medical doctor. But he did his best work to make most of this stuff understandable. His best work. And that's why I gave it, I think, a 4 out of 5. This book is a life-changing book, a life-influencing book, and it's one of the best books that I've read this year and one of the best books that I've ever read. Period. It changes a whole lot of stuff. It debunks a whole lot of myths. I mean, unless you're just somebody that doesn't believe anybody, but it debunks a whole lot of myths and it talks a whole lot about diet and food and different things that matter, things that don't matter. It's like I learned some stuff about cholesterol that I didn't know and understand. But he starts off by breaking down, he called them the 4 horsemen. So like heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and it's another one, cancer. So we start off by breaking those down. And like some of them, the ones that they understand, where they come from, the symptoms, how they affect you, like a lot of that stuff, medically, personally, whatever, however he could break it down. So after he break them down so we understand that, he talk about ways to fight against that. Right? So they talk about lifespan and health span. So lifespan is like how long you live, but health span is how long do you live a healthy life. Like you could live 100 years, but your last 30 years of that 100 years, you struggling or whatever like that. It's funny. I don't know if you heard some more. I don't know if you listened to some more, but she had a comedy show on Netflix and she was talking about that, about the grandma. Like after the grandma turned like 80 and she got to live with the young kids in the family. She's sleeping on the floor. They just doing her wrong and shit like that, right? But you know, outside of that, like that's what he talk about. Like, do you want to live longer? Do you want to live healthier for a longer period of time versus just living long and struggling for your last 40 years or whatever like that? Yo, so after he breaks down the 4 horsemen, he gets into ways to fight against those things. And that's dietary. That's whether it be through exercise, through diet, through just being conscious of these things. And he break down a lot of things to fight against it. And man, debunked a whole lot of myths. It's definitely it's a life changer, man. Really good book. This also the book, though, that I was talking about last week when I was like, some of these books, they want you to do things. You know, I can't do them. You know what I mean? But it made me a fan of Peter Attia, who I found out is he got a very popular podcast. It's called The Drive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's called The Drive. So I subscribed to it. I haven't listened to a full episode yet, but I did subscribe to it. So I do plan on listening to it. I want to make whatever Peter Attia is saying a part of my fiber because he's saying some things that make a whole lot of sense. Like debunk that. Like soon as I heard him talk about eggs and cholesterol, and I've heard that 100 times. Like I didn't even really think about that or whatever like that. So it's definitely a very, very, very good book. And he explained exercises to do that help this, are foods to eat that help this, are the reasons why you should and the reasons why you shouldn't in lamest terms, man. So dope book. Really, It's good, man. You should check it out. It's called Outlive.
Yeah, I think I'm going to check it out. I'm going on a long flight. I might have to check that one out.
Yeah, it's called Outlive, man. It's a really, really, really good book. All right, we got an elephant in the room that we need to address, right?
Yeah.
So the elephant in the room is, why haven't we been doing movie reviews?
Yeah, man. We are about to do it a little bit different for you guys now, man.
Yeah, but before you get into what we about to do,
about why
have we not been doing it? Well, I'll give it from my perspective. The movie reviews, for the most part, is like we intentionally got to set aside time to like watch the movie, to talk about the movie, so it's fresh in our head, whether we saw it already or not. The shows, y'all know how Damon did with the shows. He binge watched the shows and got ahead of me. But sometimes we just don't have time. Like, I've been busy. Even though I'm about to lead a command, everything kind of ramped up. I was doing my last site visits. We got this thing going on right now called Hyrex. I got kind of pulled back into that a little bit yesterday. So everything been kind of ramped up. So generally, like, we just don't really. Tish got kids. We didn't introduce that to Tish when we brought her in. Like, every week we're gonna be watching a movie and talking about it. So it's like, that's another thing to introduce. So I think for all of us, that's probably why we haven't been doing it. But I am gonna shut up now so Damon can talk about our plans when it comes to movie of the week.
Yeah, man. The plan is gonna be what we're gonna start doing, man, is doing it individually. So we're gonna start doing the movie review every week the same way, but we're gonna do that individually, not part of our segment.
I don't know about every week. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
It might be like once a month. It might be like once a month.
Maybe like one, you're right, once a month. But we gonna most definitely get it done individually though. We put it out and you guys will be able to see that. But you're right, it might be like once a month. Yeah. You're right. We ain't gonna
like once a month.
We want to say once a week, by once a month.
Hero of the Week too. Hero of the Week is going to graduate to the same thing too. So instead of like having Hero of the Week and the movie of the week in the episode, you'll get Hero of the Week and the movie of the week outside of the episode. So that'll make the episodes a little bit shorter. So instead of this episode being like 2 hours and 40 minutes, this episode's probably about to just be like 2 hours and 15 minutes. Things like that. So that is, but you will still get Hero of the Weeks or Hero of the Months and movie reviews. You still will get them. We just doing it a little bit different.
Most definitely, man. Hey, you guys may hook us up, man. You know what I mean? Let us know your feedback about the movies in the week too, man. Like, because I think this right here give us, more time to dissect, a lot more stuff. So I'm looking forward to it though.
Yeah, and give us suggestions. Remember, they gotta be military movies. I remember we asked for suggestions before. People are like, oh yeah, watch the Fast and Furious too. They gotta be, military movies. So that's the biggest thing, military movies. So, but if you give us movie, you give us military movie suggestions. You could give us book suggestions. You could give us people that you think is the hero of the week. We'll go through all of that stuff. We, however interactive y'all are, we will love and respect and cherish that. And we'll go through and talk about all that stuff.
Most definitely, man. Hey, Mississippi, stand up, man. What's good?